Good evening, everyone. Can you guys hear me? Okay, excellent. I knew manufacturing is niche, did not realize this niche, but yeah, it's niche. It's 3:30 now, so I'll not add to a lot of exhaustion because our primary objective is to make manufacturers' lives easier. So my name is Neeraj. I'm the founder of a cloud-based configure price quote software. The company name is Solenoid, and we are based out of UK, Birmingham. We predominantly work with bespoke high-mix manufacturers. Example, lighting manufacturers, battery manufacturers, shutter manufacturers, door manufacturers. We help them generate quick quotations and calculate accurate bill of materials, ultimately boosting sales and enhancing sustainability. Now, many of you would already know that the top priority of the manufacturers over the next 2 years is to either protect their margins or increase their margins. On the top of that, there's additional pressure to make sure that they comply with the net zero objectives as per the Paris Accord. So not just manage their margins, but also make sure that they use sustainable materials as best as possible, and obviously 100% by 2050. And that's the reason why I'm here to discuss how our solution, Qiksell, integrated with Odoo, can help manufacturers enhance their margin, but at the same time also enhance sustainability. So I'm not sure whether CPQ is a household name like finance or accounts or CRM, but we'll take a look at what CPQ essentially means, and then we'll deep dive into the other aspects. So traditionally, you've got the CRM system, which establishes customer relationships, enhances sales prospects. On the other end, the rest of the back office operations are managed through the enterprise resource planning systems like Odoo, Microsoft Dynamics, NetSuite, and others. CPQ is essentially a domain which focuses on complex pricing and complex bill of materials, where manufacturers have to deal with thousands and thousands of line items to decide what's the best fit, what would be the right dimensions, what would be the right materials that can be put together to manufacture a product. This is not an easy task as it sounds like, because most of the times these manufacturers are looking at hours to days worth of work to come and put together a piece of code which they need to send to their customer. So we know that it's a very complex domain which CPQ tries to simplify, and that's why it is called configure price quote. And when CPQ integrates with a CRM system and an ERP system such as Odoo, that's when the manufacturers see maximum efficiency and enhanced sustainability. And we'll take a look at why that may be so in a bit. So this is a typical report that our CPQ solution Qiksell has produced for a lighting manufacturer. You can see before using our system, using a traditional CRM and ERP system, the manufacturers are looking at a cost of £785 to produce or to manufacture an LED panel. This is a real case study actually. The sales price of that LED panel is supposed to be £1,559, which is roughly around 49% margin for them. And there is about 5 to 10% of material wastage using the traditional calculations, which means they might be using slightly larger backing sheets, or they might be using more number of LEDs when compared to the actual that's required. And there is 0% recyclability using the system, using the traditional CRM and ERP system. Now, when they integrate it with our system, which is Qiksell, the Qiksell solvers actually run through the permutations and combinations, and then the Qiksell has come up with a view that the same product can be produced at £760, which means £25 lesser than the traditional CRM and the ERP system had worked out. That also means that they are looking at a 3% increase in the profit margin, 10% reduce in the material waste, and with a couple of combinations, it has also worked out that it can use acrylic and heat sinks, which are 30% and 100% sustainable respectively. So you can see there how a CPQ system, if correctly integrated with a CRM system and a ERP system, can enhance efficiency for manufacturers and also enhance the sustainability. Now, why is this solution so important as of today? We have compiled together the results of multiple research providers like Gartner's, and what we have found, in addition to our own discussion with the manufacturers, is that the manufacturers are going to invest into the technologies which are going to address predominantly these problems, which is one, mitigate the raw material supply risks, which means it needs to make sure that it picks up the optimal raw materials required for manufacturing. The second parameter is to manufacture the products using mostly sustainable materials as best as possible, so whether it is 80% or 100%. And the third parameter is to make sure that whatever they are using, they are either able to reuse it, recycle it, or it can be remanufactured, for example, through byproducts. So they need to enhance the remanufacturing capability of their products to contribute to the circular economy. So those are the 5 top parameters which the manufacturers are looking at when considering to invest into a technology. However, it's not just those 5. The technology should also expedite their operational decision-making process and should increase their efficiency plus reduce the costs. So it's not just one parameter, but there are multiple parameters to be balanced. And that's what are the manufacturers' priority over the next 2 to 3 years. Gartner eventually has summed up that 65% of B2B manufacturers are looking at data-driven intuitive systems to enhance their sales process, and CPQ is one of the top 4. If any of you would like more detailed insights about the research reports, please feel free to connect me. On the last slide, you will have my contact details, and I'll be also here tomorrow at the startup booth showcasing our product. So what does a typical CPQ workflow look like? You are essentially looking at integrating Qiksell with an ERP system, CRM system like Odoo. It would automatically sync up the customers of the manufacturers, which essentially means the manufacturer's customers would be able to use the system to place a request for a quotation or to place an order. So they can just log in online, they will be able to place a request for a quote, and the system will automatically go through the number of permutations, combinations required to build that product, and then they will instantly see the quote based on the market trend, which means the system not just looks at the cost plus pricing, but there are 12 other different pricing models that the system will be looking at to put together a sales price. And one of them obviously is related to the dynamic pricing, which is what's happening in the market, what are the materials which are available in the market, and what's the scarcity in the market, which can drive the price of the item. So the system, Qiksell, would allow the manufacturers to get the specifications from the customers. As of today, if they are looking at a traditional capturing process, it's going to take at least 2 to 3 hours to just get the specifications from their customers. It will calculate the materials, labors, and costs based on the information that's available in the ERP system, such as Odoo, or it can do it using its own internal database. Once that's done, it will calculate the shop orders, it will calculate the timelines, and then eventually it will produce the quotation that needs to go back to the customer, which is in a minute. Otherwise, you are looking at almost like hours to days to get a quote back to their customer. So that's what a typical flow of a CPQ system looks like. The solution currently has different capabilities, the top 5 being dynamic pricing, which essentially means looking at different pricing methodologies and exploring and evaluating which one would be the one which would be offering maximum efficiency, maximum margin, and enhanced sustainability. Complex configuration, where you have got different options of configuring formulae like square root of this to divided by this, plus this, minus this. One of my customers who is a sliding partition manufacturer had a situation where they had to calculate the number of rivets that will go into the partitions based on whether it is odd number of blanks or even number of blanks. And there we had to use geometric progression to work out what would be the number of rivets based on how many blanks are going to be used. So those kind of situations can be easily configured using our platform. Decarbonization, obviously, as you understand, we have got Paris Accord, which drives the net zero objectives. So our system integrates with the central database which European Forum has is using as the benchmark to determine what's the carbon emission of the manufacturer. So right from the production processes to the materials used to the delivery, it looks at the overall process and works out the most optimal option. The solvers that are used by the system are also AI enabled. We have got 16 different algorithms of our own, which runs through the material combinations, runs through the processes. In addition to that, it is also AI enabled, which means it does leverage machine learning to constantly upgrade itself, to constantly learn, and then contribute to the optimization. The key benefits, as you would have understood so far, it obviously reduces the lead time, thereby increasing the code to cash process, number one. Two, it's quite natural that all the human errors of inputting the formula, etc., are totally eliminated. I remember in one of the cases, one of my customers by mistake added an extra zero, changing the cost of the price of the item by about 10 times. Faster approval cycles, operational efficiency, thereby it is enhanced, and that put together improves the margin and the sustainability. Now we have partnered with one of the gold-rated partners in the UK, Akarigo, and this is what a typical Odoo offering would look like if you are looking at integrating Qiksell as one of your services alongside Odoo. So alongside marketing, you have got the CPQ system, which can enable the quotation process and calculation of materials, labor margins, etc. within the same nutshell. And then it integrates into the sales module, purchase module, manufacturing module, etc. of Odoo. So you're looking at those two pieces of CPQ, which integrates into the CRM system and the rest of the back office operations of Odoo to make sure that the manufacturers can leverage and extend their capabilities. This is a typical use case of one of our implementations where we worked with a lighting manufacturer who had two different manufacturing sites. There were roughly around 5,700 SKUs, the top level SKUs, which then in turn banked on a permutation of about 12,000 combinations. There were 600 distributors which were part of our scope, though they're in their ecosystem, they had about 2,000 distributors. And the idea was to automate to such an extent that the distributors would seamlessly place requests for quotes, requests for products through our system, so that it would reduce the lead time, it would reduce all the bureaucracy which is there in between, contributing to the overheads of the process. Eventually, when we implemented the system, at that point of time, it was discrete systems operating at their end, separate accounting system, separate stock management system, etc. When we implemented the integrated system, it was single source of truth, which the system leveraged. This instantly saw an increase in the volume of quotes that they could address. And then this was a personal feedback that I received, that they won a deal of 30,000 pounds of the order at a unit price difference of 8 pounds against their nearest competitor, because our system calculated the combination so precisely. So that's the kind of impact it can create. As a result, they instantly saw improvement in their KPIs. Obviously, like I said, the bandwidth increased, so volume of quotes increased, the lead times reduced, the pricing insights they started getting from the system, that increased, and instantly they started creating cost centers to absorb the costs of different processes. Material wastage reduced, pricing accuracy instantly increased, like I said. Obviously, human errors and inefficiencies were also reduced, then leading to closer collaboration with their distributors. The distributors essentially are the customers of the manufacturers, who in turn sell it to the end consumers. Some of the constraints that we dealt with, complex product configuration, like I said, there were 12,000 plus product combinations which had to be calculated on the fly. High volumes of quotes. They were looking at roughly around 200 to 300 quotations per day. That was the volume that we were looking at. One of the key issues was calculation of the backing sheets, which means if there is a 3,000 millimeter by 5,000 millimeter backing sheet, and if it is not calculated correctly, then they would end up wasting that entire sheet, which was one of the key constraints that we worked with. There were BOM constraints. API throttling was around 5,000 APIs per hour, so we had to be very careful on how we were managing and calibrating the APIs. There were multiple business units which were operating the system. There was a signage unit which was totally separate than the LED unit, and this was one of the other challenges that we had, to make sure that both the business units were able to get the resources equally. Then price volatility of the LEDs and the backing sheet was one of the major contributing factor. And then obviously they needed real-time access to the stock positions, to the price positions, etc. So we did work with several layers of complexity here. There were different modules of our solution that was used, eventually leading to the success of the implementation. And not just that, now we are upgrading the system to our latest framework, which is AI enabled for this lighting manufacturer. So you would have got, in a nutshell, a view about why CPQ is important today and to what extent can it contribute to not just improving the efficiency of the manufacturers, improving the competitiveness of the manufacturers, but also contributing to making the planet green. And that has been one of our key focus areas, to make sure that all that is totally visible to the manufacturer as to what they see as a value of the system. We will be, like I said, available tomorrow at the startup booth. Anyone who is interested to take a look at the demo of the product, please feel free to see me there. And I am now available to answer any queries that you may have. I know we still have 3 more minutes left, but more than happy to use all the left out time for any queries that you may have.
Thank you very much. Give him a round of applause, come on.
Thank you.
So if you have some questions that you would like to be answered right now, you can scan the QR code here, and so I can read them out. Otherwise, like you just mentioned, you'll be there tomorrow at the Startup Village, who's in the other hall.
Yes. Yeah, just in town.
For the moment, no questions. Don't be shy. I guess it'll be for tomorrow. You have questions tomorrow then.
Sure. Either I was very clear or people did not understand it. It looks like.
No issue.
Anyways,
I have a question coming up.
Sure.
It's writing. A second. So does it calculate only market pieces for the UK or only, any other market?
So our system has got a geographical module which will allow the system to localize to the requirements of different countries. Currently, we are looking at expanding into Australia because we have got a couple of customers who are interested in our solution in Australia. Similarly, we have integrated the system for the Holland market. Any other market will be quite open to. So it's really agnostic, market agnostic, to be honest.
No other questions for the moment. So I guess we'll stay there. Then don't forget to go and meet Solenoid then on the Startup Village tomorrow at least.
Absolutely,
latest.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much.
Sure. Thank you so much for your time. Really appreciate your patience. Hope you have a lovely rest of the evening ahead. Enjoy Odoo experience and have a good time ahead.